necessarily reflect the views and opinions of News Talk
Facebook.
WOL, Radio 1 Incorporated, or their management.
Good morning and welcome to the Carmiece Graves Show. Get ready to get great information on knowing your rights on estate planning, alimony, and money. Attorney Carmiece Graves.
Good morning. Welcome to the Carmiece Graves Radio Show. Welcome, Facebook family. I am Attorney Carmiece Graves. I'm in the building. I got the mic. We are here today, second week in 2019, going well. So, what are we going to talk about today? So there's so much going on around the United States. There's so much going on in our personal lives. But today's show, I wanted to dedicate to talking about, because I've been thinking about this, releasing guilt and shame regarding filing Chapter 7 or 13 bankruptcy. I'm getting a lot of that. I mean, I understand it, and I want to kind of unfold and unpack what my views and thoughts are about filing Chapter 7 and kind of getting into a little bit of depth behind why one might feel some anxiety, feel some shame or guilt, and I want to unpack that a little bit. We have a lot to talk about today. We're going to get into this topic of the emotional impacts of Chapter 7 and 13, the emotional relief you get from filing Chapter 7 or 13. And then in the second part of the show, I just want to kind of go over, there's so much going on. We had the R. Kelly documentary, and people are having a big response to that. We got the speech tonight with Trump, and, you know, what are we going to do about the federal government being shut down? You have 800,000, federal workers that are impacted by the shutdown. What does this mean for our country? And what can we learn? Anytime there's something going on in our lives, whether we like it or not, especially if we don't like it, there's some value to be gained from it. And this is a teachable moment for a lot of reasons that I want to talk about in terms of how President Trump kind of is dealing with these issues, his approach to getting good counsel. It all matters. It all matters. And it's something that while he's at this national level, we can look at these qualities sometimes and see them in our personal lives. And that's always my approach. Before I want to criticize, before I want to condemn, I want to see the behavior that I find disconcerting and see whether there's something that I could do better personally and take from that person's example and avoid the same pitfalls. But let's start from the top. Let's start from this idea of releasing guilt and shame regarding filing bankruptcy. And I was coming over here today and I was thinking about this. So how it goes is things were going well, something happened, and it's not going so well. And now you may find yourself after a life event happening, maybe a divorce, maybe a loss of income, obviously, right? Maybe there was a health issue, right, that caused you to not be able to work and you fell behind in your bills. But before then, and usually the prototype that I see is that things were going along well. I had a plan. I was working. I could afford my life. I could afford the responsibilities that oh, great. Henry Floyd's here with me. Y'all know Attorney Floyd. Hopefully he'll be back with us next week in the studio, giving you more information about personal injury and medical malpractice. So what we want to be looking at is, so usually it's the idea that you were doing well, life was going along well, and something happened. That's typically how life happens. You got a plan. I'm going to go to school, I'm going to get my education, and when I get out, I'm going to get this fantastic job, and I'm going to truck along and do what I got to do. Sometimes that works out, and sometimes it doesn't, but usually it is not a straight and even path upon which we traverse this lifetime. So things happen. You got bounced around. And now, bankruptcy is an opportunity to say, listen, we can do a fresh start. We can get this going. But you have to overcome this conversation that you're having with yourself that you're a failure, that you failed, that things aren't going right, that you weren't good enough, that you shouldn't have got sick. You know what I mean? It's your fault that your marriage fell apart and you shouldn't have got divorced. One of the things I'm learning about life is you have to accept where you are. It happened. You can't control control all the elements and variables in life. You contribute to them, you know what I mean? But what's done is done. You can think about the next moment, and that's what the fresh start is about. It's about the next moment. What are you going to do next? Let's not cry over spilled milk. Let's give ourselves a break. Let's allow humanity, and let's allow for life to happen and for it to be diverse. Let it to be complex. Let it happen and be a person that can adjust for where you are and moving forward. So the idea that and it's really the internal conversation that I think some of it might be a little bit cultural, you know what I mean? I think there's a cultural element of it. I do feel that we as African Americans might attach a lot of our worth to how well we're doing on the external plane, how big my house is, how nice my car is, how pretty my clothes are, how you know, whether I have a spouse, whether I have all these things, and you put a lot of your worth and your value in those trappings, and when they change, because they're not permanent and they can change, then you have this big self-esteem attack, which sometimes stops you from taking action. It becomes, you know, you are no good, you know what I mean? And we really attach a lot, sometimes too much, our net worth, our self-worth, our value, and on these status symbols. And when they change, a loss of income, so you were up here making big bucks and you lost your job, you know, instead of it being, okay, a change in my environment, a change in my life that I need to respond to and move forward, and having the confidence that I created that job. I got that job, so I'll get another job. You know what I mean? You know, things happen. My relationship changed. Love is abundant. It's always there for me. I'll get another relationship. I have to move forward. But being stuck in, we kind of badger ourselves, you know, I wasn't good enough and shouldn't have happened, or you blame an outside circumstance. You know, I got sick, or he left me, she left me, he cheated, he's not paying the child support. It does not do us any good to sit there and rehash the problem. Once the problem has emerged, then it's time to analyze it and take the next best step. And that's sometimes chapter 7 or 13 can give you the fresh start to say, life has happened, let me get it back in order, let me move forward. But putting on both sides of it, and the real problem starts that if we stop putting our value on these trappings, we're more free to know that they're fluid, know that they come and they go. You know what I mean? I've had jobs, I've lost jobs. I've had money, I've lost money. You know what I mean? But one thing that's constant is that I'm feeding into Carmiece Graves, and I'm the source of anything that I have going on. And I'm confident that any change that happens, I have to respond. And I'm going to be responding, focusing on the solution. Let's be solution oriented in 2019. 2019 is going to be the year to complete a lot of things, an opportunity to let go of a lot of old beliefs that don't serve us. Let's work on that. Let's be solution oriented instead of being problem oriented. The problems just come just from being a human being. Things happen, bouncing around and coexisting in our environment with our loved ones, our frenemies, enemies, and all of that. That part is organic. You don't have to worry about not having a problem. You will have one, but your trick is going to be the thing that you're going to have to do and really get good at, and people that are successful in life are excellent at it, is being able to now focus on the solution once the problem has arisen. And chapter 7 and 13, you can call me. People are doing a good job. I'll do those consultations. We can chat for a few minutes over the phone. You can tell me what's going on, and I can let you know what you need. You know, I just did a great consultation with a gentleman. We had to talk a couple times, and we've developed a plan that didn't initially look like a chapter 7. It looked like a 13 because there was some property to be kept. But he was like, look, I really just want a clean start. So that looked like a chapter 7. You can see the relief, because one of the things we don't want, again, that first start, you need it emotionally. You need it emotionally to move forward from the life event that happened. That's the purpose of it, to get your finances in order, to get your emotions in order, to get you headed in a fresh start, in a fresh direction, overcoming and moving through whatever life change has occurred that got us to the point that we needed to clear the debt, move forward, and get your life back on track. So that's the point of what we're doing. At least it's the biggest benefit and relief that I like to be able to offer. You know what I mean? It's a great opportunity to work with people. I love now. You're going to probably continue to be nervous because the idea, and it's something, even though this is the law, that this is something you're entitled to. You know what I mean? This is a law. This is something that you can, execute when needed. Some of us still come like, can I do that? Is it going to work for me? Are you able to make this really happen? Can this fortune come to me? Well, that's what the attorney is for. And I hold your hand through it. I get you through it because most of the process, you're working with me. A good bankruptcy attorney, our job is to make sure that we can guide you through the process, kind of give you some foresight as to what to expect and prepare you. And most of it is dealing with me. I deal with the trustee on your behalf. You deal with me. I hold your hand. We get through it. And it's a good experience to get through the 341 creditors meeting with my clients. And they have that sigh of relief because we did it. So I want us to really challenge this badgering that we do, this judging that we do because we're human and we had a life experience and now need to get on the right course. Let's be a little bit easier with how we handle ourselves. And on the other side, when things are going good, maybe a little less arrogant about it. Maybe don't put yourself in the role of whatever job you got and whatever acres you got and whatever land you got or whatever husband or ring or whatever you got. Maybe let's kind of keep our value with just in being a good person, just in feeling good, and really having true self-esteem based on that we are just great to be human, great to be here, great to be alive, great to be loving. Just really enjoy the process, honor and respect to others. It's critical because usually that arrogance might be the thing that brings around the drama. Maybe you was overspending. Maybe you was thinking that you was all of that and stepped out on your marriage and thought, oh, I got options. You know what I mean? I don't know. That arrogance really could be the source of it's a double-edged sword. So when things are going good, you're cocky. Your head is in the air. You got your trappings on. Your name brand this, your name brand that. You're stepping high on the horse and you're better than everybody else. That thinking is a problem. And on the other side, it turns into guilt and shame. On the other side, look, no, you ain't all that. Because that inner being that talks nasty to you, that criticizes you, it doesn't let up. Either you're better than somebody else, or when things are tough for you, you ain't nothing and you's a piece of crap. So I'm trying to unplug from the system altogether in that regard. Like, if I want a nice thing, I get a nice thing. It's just a nice thing. It doesn't make me a nicer person. It doesn't make me a better person. It doesn't make me better than the person to my left or to my right. It's just a nice thing. You know what I mean? And we sometimes put a lot of value in those things to define our value. And when they go awry, you now are in the toilet about being just a decent human being deserving of a fresh start. You won't even give it to yourself because you see, you don't even deserve that. You got to work hard and save your money and, dig yourself out of this hole on your own. Other people ain't doing that. They just like this, well, life happens, and if that's the law, by all means, I'm going to pull the trigger and do what I got to do. Because that's the law, and I'm entitled to do it. So I need a fresh start. Let's put the past in the past and move forward. Don't have, the lack of self-love stop you from getting help that you need to ease your way forward, to clear your path forward to your fresh start. Don't do that to yourself. It's not needed. It's written. It's a lot of code written to protect you from when things happen in life. A lot of rules have been written. It's amazing. And it's federal law. And the federal courts is still working during shutdown, just in case y'all wanted to know. The court ain't playing. They're like, we got stuff to do. Trump, we ain't playing with you. But we are going to take a check-in with traffic and weather. When we come back, please stay tuned to the Carmiece Grace Radio Show. I'm going to talk about some current events, other things that I've been hearing about and want to go over with you. But thanks so much, and hopefully you'll be here on the other side of our short break. Facebook world, I don't even understand what be going on. Every time I set up the feed, soon as the show about to start, something happened to the phone. And I look like I'm unprepared. I've been here, sitting in the studio, ready to go, prepared. And all of a sudden, as soon as the show starts, I got to restart the feed. You know, it's the devil. Obstacles. But obstacles are to be overcome. So, what I want to tell you guys again about chapter 7 and chapter 13, let's be easy. If this is something that you need, call, get a consultation, figure it out. Be nice to yourself. Don't really beat up on yourself too much because your counterparts aren't. I'm telling you, that's one quality about different cultures that sometimes I really appreciate is this kind of like not being that attached to trappings. So things can happen. It's like, it's not that I'm a bad person. It's just that it happened. A lot of people think like that. And they're able to have more freedom, move through, get back on track. And that idea gets you in trouble on so many fronts because if your value is in trappings, you need more trappings and more trappings. Welcome back to the Carmiece Graves Radio Show. I'm attorney CPA Carmiece T. Graves, practicing bankruptcy, family law, and estate planning in the DMV area. Thanks so much for tuning in. So today I was going over the emotional impacts of filing Chapter 7, emotional things that you need to, deal with, clear, so that you can get the relief. And I was saying that sometimes in our culture we put a lot of stock in these trappings, and when they leave us, emotionally you take the hit, and it's misplaced from the beginning. The value is misplaced. You can't put value in things that are impermanent. You can't attach your value to things that are a moving target. The only constant in your life is you. How about that? That's the only constant that you have is yourself, because when you stop being, and you're not permanent either, but when them lights is out, all the lights is out, right? So that's what I want to say about that. Get the emotional relief you need. People are stressed out. You know what I mean? They don't know what to do. They're feeling like they're swarming in debt. And if that's what you need, you pick up the phone, you call me, take action. Don't feel that this is, because I was just saying in the break on Facebook that your counterparts be like, life happens. If that's the law, by all means, I'm going to do what I got to do. It'll be a part of the plan. We'll move forward. If we weren't supposed to do it, it wouldn't be code after code, rules after rules that protect creditors. It's business. It's business for them. It's personal for you, but it's business for them. And I come from the business side of things, and I chose to be an attorney that works one-on-one with individuals. I was at a big law firm working on corporate and finance deals, but it was just a little bit too removed for me. When I was doing estate planning for pro bono work, I loved the personal interaction that I had with my clients, which is not the same sort of thing. My client was a business at the corporate and finance level, but now, and then working for the administration, it was the government that was operational and moving forward. But on this level, it's about your emotional well-being. If you're having a family law matter, it's about your emotional well-being and getting you through the situation. It's dealing with an estate matter. If it's dealing with an estate matter and you have to, work with your families in administering the estate, that's a big one. That's still really nasty stuff, guys. So do your estate planning. Bankruptcy, if you've fallen on hard times for any of these other reasons, usually a divorce, usually you could have dealt with an estate matter that didn't go well, and now you have a judgment. Any of the things that can cause a judgment are things that, and you could have had a lapse in judgment. You could have had a lapse in judgment that you didn't do this too right, you didn't do that too well, but aren't you allowed to be a human, make a mistake, and move forward? Aren't you allowed? Isn't that what we're here to do? Like the Kevin Hart comment in response to Don Lemon. I love it. It was like this. Aren't we allowed to grow? You can't expect me to be perfect already. I will never be perfect. I'm a work in progress. I'm allowed to make mistakes. And he's giving himself the space to be imperfect. And that's what you need to give yourself. You need to give it to others. Because if you're not giving it to yourself, that means you're judging others harshly. You're judging yourself harshly. And that's just a lose-lose for everybody involved. Give others the benefit of the doubt. Give yourself the benefit of the doubt. Move forward, get some space, get some air, get a fresh start, learn from your mistake. If it was a mistake in lapse in maybe managing finances, come up with a financial management plan and work by all means. What you can do is say, I'm going to do better. I'm not ever going to do that again. I've learned from that. That's not a judgment. That's learning and growing. So let's learn and grow and not judge and be small-minded and not allow for humanity. Because if I don't know anybody, and I see a lot of, different people, walks of life, economic classes, no human being that I've met is free from obstacles, free from life. Even if you got all the money in the world, you still got to deal with health issues. You still got to deal with family conflicts and dramas. You still got to deal with life. Sometimes you got your family stuff unlocked, but you got money issues, or you got all of that, and you got health issues, where sometimes it's just perfect in the moment and nothing is wrong. And usually it's in the simple moments. It's in the moment right here. It could be the moment at the stoplight that it is absolutely perfect in that moment. And that moment is to be savored. And that's really what it's about. You got friends, you got folks that love you. You know what I mean? The quality of relationships that you have with people is more valuable than anything. And when you are able to have good relationships and have good friendships and have love in your life, you're usually able to keep things going. But when those things are not right, and those things stem from a good relationship with yourself, and when yourself and you are off and you're doing this negative thing, judging, being harsh on yourself, you spiral out of control. You do emotional buying, you do emotional eating, you know what I mean? You can't attract love, and when it gets there, you ruin it and you kill it, and then it's a nasty, vicious downward spiral. So I usually see that money issues usually are consistent with other issues that folks have. So at the core of it, it's always going to be you and you, loving you, taking care of you. And loving you looks like giving yourself a break, giving yourself a fresh start, being compassionate that you were doing your best. And if you weren't doing your best, at least having enough compassion to say, and we can do better going forward. It's really that deep, because this is life. We are human beings trying to do our best. And we didn't do it before, we can do it going forward. And if bankruptcy is something that you might need to get you going, and you're entitled to it through the laws, this is one that works for our benefit. This is one that works. Sometimes we talk about a lot of systems that don't work. This one works. That's why I like it. You know what I mean? Nobody's there trying to, stop you from getting your benefit. Not in this area, at least. Not while you hire me. Not while I'm on the watch, Feel like my little superhero. Dun, 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 dun. Here I come to save the day. Bankruptcy might be the way. And if it is, it is. And if it's not, maybe there's some other debt negotiation plan that we can work out, whether it's dealing with the IRS, if it's dealing with student debts, if it's dealing with it, because it is a big factor. Because finances in our modern day is the currency for living, for your overhead, for your food. They're talking about major things being impacted with this shutdown. You know what I mean? Talking about SNAP's program going down. Listen, I don't want that to happen, because I don't know what that would look like, okay? I don't know what that would look like at all. We're talking about a lot of people being impacted, but usually the federal workers, you guys have a lot of resources to help you get through a shutdown, because it has happened before in terms of getting loans. Watch those payday loans, y'all. Watch those payday loans. I would not recommend those. We don't exactly know how long this shutdown is going to be. The interest is ridiculously high. I know there's unemployment insurance options. Definitely, if you need to get extended credit, avoid payday loans. Let that be the absolute last resort. And I would determine that during this shutdown, however long it is, and we're just dealing, you probably only have to really deal with having some food and some gas, and I think all other creditors probably, won't give you too hard of a time, but making sure you have that cash in that bank, making sure you have your savings ready to go, because this would be a test to see where you thought that you were relying on check after check after check, and now there's been an interruption. Were you ready? Could you handle it? How long could you handle it? You know, you were counting on future money, and future money's not here. That could happen to anybody, any given day. How are you managing your money? You know what I mean? Can you get through this? Do you have enough cash on reserve? And if not, it would be then a good opportunity to say, you know what, even if you put $100 aside a month, you would be doing really great to save. That means savings is something in 2019 to focus on. I know it's something that I'm focusing on as well. Reducing student loan debt for myself and increasing savings for myself is something that I'm really working to train my life to do better. And because I work with you all and we are learning and growing, and you know, I learn from my clients. I learn from your life experiences. Like, okay, I'm gonna need to go ahead and get on this because this is an issue, you know? So that's what the purpose of this show is, to share with you experiences that I've encountered from others so that we can learn and grow together and avoid some of the pitfalls so that we can be wiser together. And another thing I'm telling y'all, you know, there's a report out that the Democrats have been manipulating Facebook with fake accounts. Stop using Facebook for your primary news source, because that means folks are getting a lot of the stuff that's going on. People have to be independently responsible for nurturing good quality education for themselves. And the fact that some people don't want to read this, you don't want to read that, you know, you want to be spoon-fed everything, they realizing they can spoon-feed you anything. Spoon feeds you anything, and source checking your information and not being too emotionally responsive to things that you haven't verified. Sometimes, you know, they look at that. Facebook is all about emotionally getting you riled up. Somebody knows the importance of emotionally having you off your game. They know that you're not going to encounter what they're seeing, but they know you'll have an emotional response. People know about the importance of emotional good health and what it does for you on a day-to-day basis. And that's what I care about at the Carmiece Graves Law Firm. So by all means, if you're dealing with a financial crisis, a family crisis, pick up the phone and call me. I'm happy to help. And if I can't help you, I know someone that can. So you can call me at the Carmiece Graves Law Firm. You guys know how to reach me, 240-573-7153. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Carmiece Graves radio show. I'm always honored to be here, and I hope that you would join me every Tuesday at 10 here on 1450 WOLAM. Again, you can Google me, Carmiece, Carmiece. I'd like to give a quick shout out to the Johnson family. Last week we got together to celebrate the life of my grandmother, Cynthia A. Johnson Graves. It was phenomenal. I was really proud to be around my family. We did well. We like each other. So love each other, be good to each other, and I hope you check in and share this video on Facebook. Take care. Till next week.
You've been listening to the Carmiece Graves Show with attorney Carmiece Graves. To reach attorney Graves, please call 240-573-7153. That's 240-573-7153.
Thank
Be sure
you.
to tune in next Tuesday at 10 a.m.